Hi, this is Coach Jackie on our Wednesday evening session, Ask the Author, where we review this book, My Dream Journey Book. Welcome. I hope that you have had a nice day and that you have brought your book with you. So last week we looked at chapter 1, where you assess your current situation. So there are a number of life areas, and the idea is that you look at your levels of motivation, the extent to which you're passionate about whatever area it is, but also checking to see how clear your vision is about that area, how clearly you can picture the ideal for that particular area. And at the end of those assessments, the idea is that you would have a good picture of what your priorities are, because there are a number of areas of life that we looked at. So relationships, career, business, finances. We also looked at physical fitness, physical location, and a number of other things. So thank you, Electina, for joining us. Today we are going on to chapter 2. And chapter 2 is Where Am I Headed? I just like to start by reflecting a little bit on something about the way we view journeys. So imagine you're driving to Kisumu from Nairobi, or to Nairobi from Kisumu, just as an example. Chances are that the moment you hit the dual carriageway somewhere near, is it Wangige or Kino, you feel, yes, I'm in Nairobi. But that's not your destination. That dual carriageway is not your destination. You may still need to get to house number 35 or house number C35 in Mariakani Estate or something like that. But when you are in Kisumu, just knowing that it is Nairobi you're going to is good enough to get you started. So Nairobi then is your big picture. The details come later. And this is really what this second chapter is about. It's about the big picture, the ideal situation. So having identified your priorities last week, today we are really going to try and see what is that big picture, what is that ideal that you're going towards. And to do this successfully, you really need to let your imagination free. Don't restrict yourself. Don't start already calculating how much money will I need for this and the other. This is really an opportunity for you to dream and imagine anything that you would like to imagine. After all, that dream only needs to make sense to you. It's not somebody else's dream. You don't have to share it with anyone else. And as Lupita Nyong'o famously said, your dreams are valid. So feel free. And the reason why, this is actually the reason why I start the chapter by asking this question. If there were no limits and you could create the ideal life for yourself, what would it look like? If there were no limits and you could create the ideal life for yourself, what would it look like? The key thing there is no limits. And this is an imagination exercise. So the question is, can you picture what you desire? Can you see it in your head? Can you smell it? Can you hear it? Can you feel it? It's really about trying to make this desire or this dream or this vision really tangible, and making it tangible in a way that makes sense for you. Some people like to draw. So if you can draw, you could draw images that represent whatever it is that you deeply desire in a specific aspect or in a specific area of your life. You could write a poem or a song, or compose a song. Or you could even cut out images from magazines and put together a vision board. So if you're perhaps you have this desire to be so physically fit that you can run the 100 meters in less than 9 seconds, you could, for example, cut out a picture of Usain Bolt in his victory celebration and then superimpose your own image over his face and maybe write 8 seconds down there. That would be a vivid and tangible reminder of what your desire or what your vision is. If you're looking at your physical location or your physical situation, you might cut out a picture or draw a picture of a house that appeals to you and put it in the kind of environment that you desire. So maybe it's in a beautiful garden, or it's by the river, or it's surrounded by trees or mountains or whatever it is. If you're looking at finances, it might just be a number that represents your target income or the bank balance or revenue if you're running a business. If the area that you're targeting or the area that you want to prioritize is family and relationships, you might have a picture of a happy family reunion with yourself at the center of it, and maybe yourself at the age of 80 or something like that. So the idea is to just think, this ideal or this vision or this thing that I deeply desire, what represents it for me? What image represents it for me? What words represent it for me? I mean, if you are imagining that, or if you would want to be famous, for example, you could cut out newspaper headlines and insert your name in them. So, for example, it might be, "Welcome, Jane." So, Jane, I don't know what your deep desire or your vision is, but if, for example, you wanted to become famous, you might cut out a newspaper headline and insert your name so that it reads something like, "Jane becomes the first Kenyan to visit Mars or Pluto," or something like that. So the idea of this chapter is to really make tangible whatever your dream is, whatever you imagine that glorious future in whatever area to be. And once you have made this thing tangible, it's not for you to put it safely away and discover it many years down the line. The idea is for you to put it in a place where you can see it consistently. Maybe you're gonna put it up on your mirror. If you look at yourself in the mirror every day, you're likely to see it every day. Maybe you're gonna insert it into your diary so that every time you look at your diary, you see it. Perhaps if you're cutting out pictures, you have got plenty of spaces in the book, so you might stick your picture in there and keep coming back to it, just to remind you where you're going, to remind you that you have a vision. And what this does is to help to keep you motivated, to remind you that you have a destination, even if you haven't arrived there, to give you resilience when you meet obstacles. This picture of success is really, it's really to drive you. It's like the fire in your belly, to help you remember that you have not arrived. As long as you're alive, you haven't arrived. I mean, I think that as long as you're alive, you could achieve something, you could do more, you could start something, you could create something, you could become someone. And this picture of success that we are talking about in this chapter is that something that you could continuously strive to achieve, or that you could continuously drive towards. But it doesn't mean that this is your only and final destination. So you might be in a situation where you deeply desire something, but that could change. Whatever you desire could change. And it might change because it's no longer relevant, because you become focused on a different priority, or maybe you achieve whatever it is that you're looking at today. You might achieve it in 1-2 years, and then you don't say, okay, I achieved my dream and therefore no need for me to continue living. I hope that's not what you're going to say, but you're going to find another dream to chase. As you saw in the first chapter, there were very many, or there were several aspects of life that you are assessing yourself on. And it is in this, so if you achieve in one area of life, you may want to set ambitions or create a picture of success in a different area of your life. So the idea is put together a tangible, put this vision or this dream together in a tangible way, and then put it somewhere where you can see it consistently, so that it reminds you what you're working towards, so that it motivates you when you're feeling down or when you meet obstacles, or when you forget where you're going. And don't worry, as I said, if this image changes, because your desires and your dreams are not static. So it is possible that whatever you might be thinking about today, or the picture of success that you have in mind today, could change. And the changes may be gradual or sudden. As long as you recognize when something has changed, and you replace whatever it is that has changed or has moved with something else, so that you remain motivated to keep growing, to keep developing, to keep achieving. Welcome, Sylvia, and I'd like to encourage those who are listening to ask questions if they have any questions. So as you grow older, as life moves on, your priorities might change, as I said, and it may just be that you want different things, or you achieve what you desired some time back. And it's really important for you to remember this, because if you have a desire today and that changes tomorrow or in a few months' time, there is nothing wrong with that. It's really about what you want and where you're going. But usually our visions and our desires and our dreams are way into the future, and often you will not necessarily achieve them very, very quickly. But if that is the case, then, as I said, you just replace them. And so as you're putting together your vision, as I said earlier, don't limit yourself. Don't start off by thinking, okay, maybe this is too grand, or no one has ever achieved this, or this is too much. Just let yourself go. Enjoy yourself. It's a personal thing. It's whatever is inside you. And as I said, it's not something that you need to share with anyone. But I would encourage you to take some notes, to put some notes, to stick some pictures in your book. Because again, every now and then you may come back and see how much you have grown, and see how much you have achieved, and see how much you have changed, and how you have reprioritized things in your life. So I'm going to pause a little bit and see if anyone has a question. This is Coach Jackie, and we are on chapter 2 in my Dream Journey book. That's the chapter that's titled, Where Am I Headed? Okay, so this is just to remind you that when you're doing this exercise, or when you're going through this chapter, don't limit yourself. Let your imagination free. Just allow yourself to imagine. Allow yourself to go into that place that you really that perhaps you dare not articulate to anyone but yourself, and then start seeing how you can make it tangible. I have met people in my life as a coach. I meet people who sometimes know that they don't like where they are, but are not sure where they want to go. And you can imagine, if we go back to our analogy of life as a journey, if you step out your door and you don't know where you want to go, I mean, you won't even know whether you should turn left or right. And this is not what you want. You want to have an idea of where you're going so that you know which way to turn once you step out, but also so that you know that you can identify the place or recognize the place when you get there. So I encourage you to do this exercise, cut out pictures, write down words that mean things to you, create or compose poems if that's how it cuts for you. Draw pictures if you can, but really try to make this vision very, very tangible for yourself. And as I said, don't lock it away, but put it in a place that you can easily access. And since I see that there are no questions and no comments, I'm going to stop there today. Thank you for those who joined, and see you next week. Next week, we are going to go into chapter 3, and this is a chapter where we are going to be looking at believing differently. What do you need to change in the way that you believe, or the things that you believe, to help you move along on your journey? Have a good night.